Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. This is going to be episode number 15, or session 15, if you would prefer, of our ongoing D&D 5e campaign titled Beneath the Banner's Shadow. This is kind of an Arthurian English history type setting. This is in a world that I created called Rosfin, in particular a kingdom known as Vykaril. And I'm very, very excited to be getting back into this. I think there's actually going to be some bloodshed that isn't PvP oriented. So, it's a young knight, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm very, very excited to be getting back into this game. Every single time we sit down to play, it's just a stellar game. So I'm very much looking forward to it. And before we get started, there's a few points of business to take care of. First of which is thank you very much to Rachel Ayers. She is the artist who did most of the designs of the shields that you'll see throughout the game. I have been working on a way to display those more often. Hopefully we will get a chance to do some of that. I don't know about tonight. I made one, but I apparently didn't actually bring the file home with me like I thought I did. So, I'm just doing great tonight because I'm also having, no surprise, audio issues. But hopefully none of that will transfer over to you. You can hear everything beautifully and crisply, and it'll be a great time. So, if language and subject matter is something that you find offensive, if it's of the mature variety, I recommend that you do not watch this channel. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can do their introductions, discuss what they would like to about themselves, and then we'll get the ball rolling. So, first up, we have Josh, because he just took a swig of water.
Perfect. Thank you for waiting for that swig of water to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Josh. I'm going to be playing again tonight Eddard Bainton of Warrenton. I don't really have a whole bunch of RPG related stuff to plug, but I will be the first on the podcast, the show to plug something non-RPG related. I've been working on some music. I have an EP that drops on all major platforms on the 31st. It is a bunch of hip hop and rap inspired beats. So if you guys are on the lookout for that, you can search it up. It's going to be under the name Passion Point. So have a listen to that if you guys would please. I would really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. Can't wait to get into it tonight.
That sounds really cool, Josh. I'm excited to see what that sounds like. All right. Next up, we have Barrett.
What's up, everybody? I'm Barrett. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming. That is extremely lackluster right now because I'm in a mood of exclusivity and only allow my players to play. I know I'm just that cool or shy. Who knows? I'll be reprising my role as Masaka Tord, the Angorian orc who can't really seem to get anything right. Anyway, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Always. I think Tord will find his stride at some point. All right, next up we have Eli.
Hello, everyone. I am Eli Kurtz, and I am very excited to be here playing Disaster Child number 3, Sir John Lightenor. I was just reviewing the notes from last session, and it was just a big old bicker fest, wasn't it, everybody? We had all kinds of troubles. I'm very excited to play tonight, but I also want to point out that I'm very excited because I have been producing an audio drama, The Tale of Hunter's Bay, and it is completely 100% released out into the wilds today. The finale dropped today, and it's very cool, so check that out. It's on all of your favorite podcatchers and also the misdirectedmark.com website, and very soon, like tomorrow, it'll be on YouTube, so check it out. Also, if anybody likes paranormal investigation, you need to check out a YouTube series called Hellier. I've not been okay the past couple of weeks because I've been drowning in Hellier, and you should just come join me in this swampy place. That's all I have to say to you.
All right. Well, that's fair. That's very fair. welcome back. We're glad to have you, and it's awesome. You always have a lot of pokers in the fire, and it's awesome to see that a lot of them are panning out, man. I'm excited for you. All right, next up we have Steve.
Hey everybody, I am Steve. I'll be coming back as Dane tonight, seeing how many more people I can irritate and get to yell at me. So I think I managed to accomplish with everyone except for maybe Ari so far, maybe Eddard. So those are my 2 targets tonight. The only thing I have to plug is the I guess the next session with Jeremy for Sunderhearth. That's going to be coming up in February. So really looking forward to that. The first one was a lot of fun, and as soon as I can get life to calm down, there will be a Google document that pops up that people have access to. So once I know more about that, I will holler back at people.
Yeah, man, I'm looking very much forward to that. The first episode was really exciting. It was hard to rein it in because my mind just wanted to run 100 miles an hour in 70 different directions.
We had a big fascination with magic.
There was a little bit of a focus on it, but yeah, hey, it's fantasy. That's what you do. How does magic work? That's what you want to know.
I also forgot to plug the session we had last night here on Erasmus Expeditions, the Glyph playtest system made by Jeff Doty of Tabletop Terrors. That was just so much fun and went so well, and I really would like people to check that out because it definitely deserves a watch.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to play. There was a lot of tech issues at the very, very beginning with my audio, but after that all got sorted. I think it went really, really well. It was a ton of fun. Okay, so last but certainly not least, Karen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen. I have the YouTube channel Myth and Gears, where we sometimes play games. It's been a long time since we've played one. I think we just did one about a week ago. And the exciting news is in about a month or so, we're starting another campaign on the channel. So come check that out. Steve's in it. And so tonight I'm going to be playing Ariana Shiel. She didn't have a lot to say last time. She kept out of most of the bickering, but that, just kind of rested instead. So tonight we'll see what she'll be doing instead.
Being catatonic is surprisingly impactful on your social life. So yeah, it was shocking to everyone, but Ari didn't have much to say last time. So I am looking very much forward to seeing her catch up for lost time tonight, because I'm sure that's coming. Excellent. So, if anybody doesn't have any other business, we can go ahead and get started. When the world was chaotic and new, we huddled against the dark and wild things that shared it with us. People gathered into groups for a better chance at survival and prosperity. As these groups grew larger, leaders were needed. Men and women who could make decisions for the collective. Natural leaders float to the top like cream, the power of their station carried in careful confidence by the people who put them in charge. But cream isn't the only thing that floats. And when the power and wealth granted by such a position grows more alluring than the reluctance of the responsibility it also requires, another kind of leader emerges. You are in the hamlet of Elan, on the west coast in the south part of Vykaril. You had learned that the Baron who oversees this region is taking advantage of the remote location of his barony and is overtaxing the people. There's been a group of locals who have taken to banditry, not just outright lawlessness, but in fact they have targeted the Baron and his people themselves, trying to take back some of this money that they've been pilfering from the local population and redistributing it. It just so happens that the leader of this group of bandits is also a friend of Tord's. He also happens to know Ariana Shiel, as it turns out. So, you have somewhat reluctantly, perhaps, agreed to help him in taking down this Baron. On the eve of pulling the trigger on this heist, I don't know what you want to call it, this ordeal, things kind of took a turn for your group in particular. And Ariana Shial ended up kind of on death's door after tampering with some magic from her and Tord's past. Luckily, Dane's patron, the washing woman, was able to revive Ariana Shial, and not only revive her, but also heal her of an ailment that had plagued her for some time. But that was not before there was a little bit of tough love going around the group. So, we are going to be starting as Ariana Shial has recovered, and you have taken your leave from the washing woman. In the scant few hours before this plan is supposed to go into effect to raid this Baron's keep. So as you are reconvening after Ariana Shiel has recovered, what does that look and sound like?
I think Tord is actually downstairs in the common room, kind of giving Ariana Shiel some space, feeling a little bit of guilt in response to the events of the latter part of yesterday. Feeling space probably is the best thing he can give at this moment in time. So you could probably find him sitting next to the hearth with a glass of mead. Somber, but hopeful.
And I think while Tord is sitting there kind of staring into the fire, Ari will come downstairs and she approaches Tord. Tord.
His head perks, but he doesn't look at you.
Tord, I'm talking to you.
Aye, and I'm listening.
It worked. I feel fine.
I'm glad.
Well, you don't look glad.
I'm sorry. I know I've said it, but I mean it.
You're sorry for what?
I can't help but feel partially responsible for all of this.
Tord, don't go making this about yourself. You did nothing. You helped me. If it weren't for you, I'd still be in pain. So thank you. Now get off your arse and come upstairs.
He smiles a bit. Get off my arse. Very well. He slams his mead and sets the cup on the table. No sense wallowing me own self-pity.
Tord, do you know where Thomas is?
I haven't seen him. I'm sure he's getting ready. It's a big day.
I want to talk to him before we leave.
Well, I suppose I could go find him.
Maybe later. Let's go talk to the others. But if you can help me with that later, that'd be much appreciated.
Very well. After you.
And with that, Ari would turn and kind of almost take the steps two at a time back up to the room. She hasn't felt this good in decades, so.
Anyone else?
Sir John and Dane had a little bit of a tiff last time, and I think when we last left them, Dane was sort of helping Ari get healed, and I think now Sir John is definitely getting his gear ready, sharpening his sword, that sort of thing. If Dane is with him, then he's probably just sharing, occasional chatter about the operational details, what we know we're going to be doing, where we're going to be, what opposition we might encounter, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think Dane is probably in there with you. He's stripped down to his waist, having been outside for exercise this morning, and probably took it upon himself to roll everyone's armor he could find, just to go ahead and get that out of the way. And so as he sort of stands there listening to you and repeating back important portions of it, you can see that the scarring that's on his back that his last mentor left him has gone from the sort of dull pink of normal like skin and has sort of become this inflamed red weave across his back. It looks like it hurts, but he's not moving like it does. And during the conversation, he'll wash and then redress, ready to head to wherever it is we have to go next.
Okay. So if I remember correctly, you had opted to be the ones who posed as the merchants on the river? No.
I think that we had originally talked about doing that, but then being the second wave that was more combative, because trying to convince everybody that there's an elf and an orc as merchants kind of made that a bit more difficult.
Okay. So as you are making your own preparations, you can see that Sir Thomas and those who are going to be involved in this raid are making preparations as well. They're kind of building this this raft that's going to float down the river in what will essentially be the bait that's going to draw out these river barons, knights, to ask for tolls, and that's going to be what springs the trap. And the raft will then eventually be taken upriver into the moat, and from what you have been told, at least, you will be able to sail directly into the underbelly of the Baron's castle. It was decided that would be probably better than a frontal assault on this castle, because the defenses are much more substantial going that route. So they are piling on crates and putting them under a tarp, tying them down, things of that nature, getting ready to kind of make this ruse. Is there anything that you want to undertake or prepare before you leave?
Well, Ari would like to have a conversation with Sir Thomas. So when she sees him, I guess, getting the raft prepared, she quickly goes down to the hearth and gets a very hot stone that she wraps in one of these purple leaves that she's got. And she approaches Sir Thomas. Sir Thomas, may I have a word, please?
He kind of turns as you call out to him and are approaching. He kind of uses the back of his forearm to kind of wipe some of the beaded sweat that's there. Kind of narrows his eyes in your direction. Aye, we can speak. He kind of looks around. He kind of motions off to the side a bit.
And she would walk in the direction that he motioned, some distance away from the other men.
What can I help you with?
And she looks at him and sighs, and then kind of looks down to the ground, and she's very uncomfortable looking. I'm sorry.
Come again?
I'm sorry. What I did to you, that was not justice. That was not right. And I'm sorry.
He reflexively kind of opens and closes his mangled hand as he nods.
And she kind of gestures to his hand. May I?
What are you playing at?
And she kind of reaches out to grasp the mangled hand. I cannot fix this, but I hope I can bring a bit of reprieve from the pain you're feeling, and maybe, blessed Luna be willing, that maybe you might wield the sword again. And with that, she's going to take that leaf that she'd had wrapped the hot stone in, and gently yet firmly kind of rub it all over his hand, concentrating on the most mangled parts. while she's doing so.
When you mention that you're doing this so that he may one day wield a sword again, you can see this kind of flash of optimism kind of play across his face. And very, very quickly he puts it in check and becomes more cynical, but doesn't say anything. This all just kind of plays out on his face. And you start to move this rock around on his hand, and at first he's just kind of just looking on in kind of disbelief, almost like you're wasting his time is almost the impression that he gives. And after a moment, he kind of furrows his brow and says, What is this that you're doing? What is this thing?
It is medicine from my people. We use it to relieve pain. It takes the worst away, and while it does not heal it, it does make it such that you have some mobility again, almost like it was new. It won't last. You'll have to do this periodically, but I hope it would help you. And when she's done, and like the heat is dying down from this rock, and she's covered the hand completely from with the leaf that it's wrapped in. There, does that feel any better?
It does. It does, strangely enough. Yes. Thank you.
No, thank you. And she reaches back into her pack and she pulls out that bundle of leaves that she had. I want you to have this.
This is the cause of the relief?
But most important, you must use a very, very hot rock. It causes the essence of the leaf to come out into your wounds. Please take this. And she presses it into his other hand.
He takes it. He seems almost reluctant, but the effectiveness of it seems like it may have, at least temporarily, converted him. He nods and takes this gift from you, and he says, "Listen, I didn't entirely believe that this doll was harming anyone. It was something that I thought my sister was, well, she had a wild imagination. For what it's worth, I am also sorry that I kept this so long."
And Ari would just look at him and kind of nod. We are good. At least I hope. And with that, without his answer, she will turn and walk away.
He kind of calls after you. You make sure to watch Toad's back. Yeah?
If ever a back needs watching, it's his.
Indeed. He kind of watches you walk away for just a moment before he turns and heads back to the preparations that he was making. Okay. So everyone, you are able to prepare what you need. Gather the supplies or gear that you feel like you're going to have to call upon whenever this raid takes place. And just a few hours before sunset, you take off down the road. Those who are on the barge push out into the waters of the river and begin to slowly make their way towards where they know they're going to be intercepted. Those of you who are on the bank, kind of keep your distance. Stick to where most of the vegetation is heavy, the forest that kind of hugs the bank of this river. And you keep pace with this raft as it floats towards where you know there's going to be conflict. After some time, in the fading moments of daylight, ahead you can see, jutting out from both sides of the riverbank, these narrow stone towers. They're maybe only 15 feet or so in diameter, and they're about 20 feet tall. And you can see, even from this distance, the massive chain that is stretched between the two of them. Excuse me. That dips down into the water of this river, making it impossible for barges and rafts to pass. And you can see that the barge that has your friends, companions on it, is steadily drifting towards it. You have just a scant few moments before this trap is going to be sprung. What would you like to do?
Can I make some sort of check to see if I can make out any kind of opposition position on these towers? Do we see anybody?
Yeah, it's not difficult. It looks like there's at least 2 knights who bear the same tabard and colors that you saw on Sir Least Gadigan, the toothless scab that you guys fought and killed in the town of Elon. And the 2 of them are on another raft. This raft kind of has a pole with a kind of a metal like eyelet on the top of it where the chain feeds through, so they can essentially just kind of sail up and down the length of this chain. They are already on this barge and look like they have spotted the raft and are starting to kind of pull their way along the chain out for the interception. You also see at least 2 archers at the top of both towers, for a total of 4 of them. There are 2 on your side, and there are 2 on the other.
Sir John, the archers.
Yes, I see them. Have we been in a position long enough to like spot any personalities up on these ramparts? Like, are we close enough to be able to make out individuals, or are we basically just seeing, armored individuals or whatever, like no real discerning details or anything like that?
No, you don't really see much in the way of detail. They're helmed, so you can really only see, part of their face anyways. And from this distance, it's very difficult to make out anything about them individually.
Okay. And just so I'm up to speed, the plan is that this raft is going to go inside the castle and then they're going to open like the gate or something and we're going to rush in, or what?
So the plan as it was laid out to you is they expect that their raft that they're on is going to be intercepted here at this chain, because this is where tolls are collected. They haven't been using the river very much. The merchants have been trying to use the roads instead to avoid the excessive tolls that are being collected. But they expect that the knights will intercept them. They're going to jump these knights here. And then there is a small, I don't know, stream or what have you, that comes off of this river that feeds the moat around the castle.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to sail this raft once these knights have been dealt with through that channel into the moat, and then there is a unguarded portcullis kind of in the belly of the castle that allows water to come right into the lower levels.
Gotcha. Okay. So we are sort of on standby until they get to the gate, right? Or are we supposed to attack whenever they're at the chain?
So they're probably going to need some help
Okay.
whenever the attack at the chain happens, because these archers are going to be essentially raining arrows down on them while they're fighting the two knights that are on the other raft.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, in that case then, so John is as close as he can get to the walls, and he's got his crossbow at the ready. And he's, talking to Tord, and he's like, yes, I see them. It's a long shot, but I hope we can make it.
I think if we get both aim for one and ensure his death, we can focus our efforts on the second. Ensure success of the plan.
Yes.
A surefire death, I think, is better.
Yes.
Ari would come up between the two of you at this point. All right, you aim for one. I'll get the other.
So John almost smiles.
Tord does. Tord does smile.
And
I would like to say that before we got here, Tord had called his steed, his Angorian horse.
Yeah, that's absolutely something you could have done. Okay, so just to reiterate, there is a chain that goes across this river. There's a tower on the side that you guys are on. There's another tower on the other side of the river. Both of them have archers in them. And then there are two knights that are on the raft that can go up and down the chain through the actual river. So there's 6 total combatants.
How far away is the tower across the river?
I'm going to say the river is 100 feet wide. So the towers are pretty much directly on both banks. So distance from tower to tower is 100 feet.
Okay, I have a short bow, so it's a bit far for my weapon for the far one, but I can still do it. If I want to do the far tower, while you guys take off the near one.
Well, I have a long bow, so my range is a little bit farther.
You could
to be
also.
honest, I don't know what the range is on a crossbow. So
I believe it's 60 feet.
Okay.
I also have a short bow.
Yeah, the other option is that the tower that's on your side, you could try to get into it and engage in melee with these two archers that are on your side.
Yeah.
Sir John, do you have a horse as well?
I do, in fact.
Well, perhaps.
I can probably get somebody in too, if that's the goal.
Well, then perhaps as we make our assault and then move closer, I can have Eddard with me and he can get me inside. And we can try to lower this chain while you guys cover the guys from outside.
Sure.
Sound good?
So me and maybe like Dane or somebody are covering with our ranged weapons while people go inside and take care of them.
Ari, you'd be free to either come with us or...
So that's
Well-
still going to leave the other tower.
Yeah, I
Right.
think I'll try to pepper the other tower with my short bow.
My
while-
thought is while we get inside, Eddard can try and disengage the chain, and I can also assist with that other tower once we get the one tower taken.
Yeah, but if I can draw fire from
Right. You guys would be able to begin intercepting the tower's fire that we are on the same side of as Eddard and I move in. And then once we seize that one, turn our attention to the second, while also compromising the chain. I'm open to suggestions. I'm just spitballing here.
That works for me.
Very well. Eddard, with me.
Right, let's go.
Pulling him up onto the horse. How far away are we right now?
So that's up to you guys. Like I said, you could see the barge approaching and the knights that have gotten onto their own raft that are kind of moving to intercept. So you know that it's mere moments away. So you can basically position yourself wherever you'd like outside of this tower.
How's the guard situation with the tower? It's just archers up top.
Yeah, there's
I
two
think
archers.
there was 2 archers on each side.
Correct.
And then 2 on a raft in between on the chain.
Yep.
Okay.
So the 2 archers that are on the tower that shares that's on the same side of the river that you are, they're not likely to spot you because their eyes are glued on the situation that's developing out in the river. But the archers on the other side are likewise focused on what's happening on the river. Therefore, their eyes are pointed straight in your direction.
We're in their field of vision. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Are we currently hidden?
Yes, as of now. You've kind of been sticking a little bit away from the river, kind of where the trees are denser, kind of using that to mask your movement thus far.
Okay. Well, I have an idea to get me and Torden. I can cast invisibility on myself and another target, expending their level slot.
We'd be on a horse.
Well, it would just look like a horse.
Okay, well, that's actually not too compromising. Dane, would you like to come with us?
quick question. The 2 towers, are they joined by like a bridge across or?
No.
Actually, that's a Tolkien novel. So
Copyright. No, there is no tower that joins them. The only thing that connects them is this chain.
I can, if you'd like. I can also. I'm pretty sure that I can handle one of the towers by myself.
I don't doubt that. But look, lad, with the confidence you approached me with yesterday, we need to see that now. Where's the fire? Bring it. Let's go.
All right.
Dane, I have faith in you.
I'm not worried about my ability. I'm worried about my abilities.
You'll be fine. I trust you. I've got your back. Let's go.
All right. Yeah.
As Dane starts to move away, Sir John sort of like touches him on the shoulder. Remember, stay alert, and in each moment, decide with conviction.
So does Dane have a horse?
No.
You can use mine. Except you won't be invisible.
Is Eddard able to turn us all invisible?
Only 2, myself and one.
time. But you can.
So, in preparation, Eric kind of comes up close to you, Tord. He gives you a nod, and then he throws his royal blue and red cloak over the two of you, and it just kind of, and with a little bit of a purpley haze, gone, all traces.
All right, well, I'm going to start stealthing towards that tower.
Okay. I got a notification saying that OBS disconnected and then reconnected. So I don't know if we're still good to go.
Check real quick.
I asked the chat, but there's a little bit of a delay, so.
Well, for the sake of this plan, if we are
Says it's
connected or not.
live. No, I can see everything.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Perhaps Dane had already gotten the head start before we kind of initiated the plan. I know the raft is kind of maintaining its course as it is, but
Yeah.
I feel like perhaps we would have made some preparations for this in lieu of just showing up and acting.
I mean, it's 50-50.
Though showing up and acting is super ball in our court kind of thing.
I mean,
Sir John's not a man of plans. He's a man of action. So,
Sir Tord is neither. He's just
never
there.
been more proud of my squire.
all right. Well, yeah. In that case, I will be heading up towards the tower.
Okay, so go ahead and roll that stealth for me.
Uh, 17.
Ooh, okay. So, you are fairly confident that the two archers across the way were unable to spot you as you kind of carefully pick your way from, shrub to tree to, small rock here and there. You're able to move right up to the stone of this archer's tower. And you know that just a little around the curve, there's a door that would lead into the interior that would then lead to the staircase that you could use to get to the top.
Well, in the time I have waiting for Tord to get here, I just want to give it a listen to make sure there's not, someone else the other side of that door, perhaps someone we haven't seen.
Okay.
That'd be totally unfortunate.
So, roll a perception.
I am positive there's nobody there. 'Cause I don't think a 9's going to do anything.
You put your ear to the wood of this door, this kind of somewhat molded and mildewed wooden door.
I hear termites.
Yeah, you might. But nothing else.
All right. And is it a simple latch or just a push or?
This has a keyed entry.
All right. Well, I'm just going to trust that there's nobody on the other side. I'm going to try and see if the door is unlocked. Perhaps they don't go upstairs and then lock themselves in the tower.
Okay.
How very Rapunzel of them.
All right. You reach out and grab a hold of this latch. It's, kind of a thumb latch type situation. You press this thumb latch down, and you can hear this kind of what to you sounds like a incredibly loud. And then you push, and this door kind of swings inward.
All right. I hesitate for a moment. expecting if anyone's on the other side of the door, they would have heard that and be snatching it open or kicking it shut. And so if that does not happen, then I will pause with the door slightly ajar and wait for Tord, like I said I would.
There's no response that you see or hear, and you wait for Tord.
I do.
Seeing our man at the door, Eddard and I board my steed, and my horse is going to make the dash action, which I believe gives me 120 feet of movement.
Excellent. Okay. Your horse is this large Angorian steed. Its hooves probably cover as much ground as probably the size of a child's head. This horse is enormous. So as it thunders towards this tower, Dane, you do now hear the two guards upstairs discussing the fact that they can hear this horse approaching. Tord and Eddard, you ride straight at this tower, and you're there before these archers have had a chance to move around to your side. But they are absolutely responding to the fact that you are approaching with haste, even though they wouldn't see you in the saddle were they to look. So the three of you are now at the door of this tower. The archers seem to be responding. The two knights out on the water and the two archers on the far side do not seem to have responded at all yet.
Drawing my sword and shield, I look to Dane and kind of give him a nod. Effectively, you can take point.
Yep, I dismount.
Smack the horse on the ass, and you are muted.
Yep.
I said such good stuff too, and I forgot it. So when you give me that nod, I push the door a little bit more, and I look back at you, and for a moment there's this look of almost still water behind Dane's eyes as he starts to mutter an incantation. And Jeremy, I'm gonna basically hold a spell. For the trigger point being the moment I see these two archers. And I'm going to start up the stairs rapidly because I know that they know that we're there. I'm not worried about creeping at this point.
So you kind of have to somewhat guess when it is that you're supposed to make this jump, as you can't see Tord giving you this nod because he's currently invisible.
All right.
But
well, when the horse stops and doesn't maul me,
the trouble of continuity. Yeah, when you hear the smack on the horse's ass.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the horse whinnies and rides off. The archers have made their way around the outside of this tower so that they're kind of looking down, watching this horse ride away. They seem very confused as to what's going on. And just about the time that it kind of starts to dawn on them that somebody must have been on that horse and is no longer there, you guys are bounding up this spiral staircase inside the interior of this tower and are able to be upon them just about the time that they're turning to face you. So, let's roll initiative. Okay, so we've got Dane with an 18, Tord and Eddard with a 16. Both of you can roll a d6 if you'd like.
Truthfully, I think Eddard has got a higher dexterity score than me.
Okay, either way. Ari's got a 5. All right, and Sir John's got a 13. All right. One, two, three, four, five. That should be everybody. Let's roll for. Okay. All right. The knights, unfortunately, got the drop on you guys. They rolled high enough that they must have turned around as you are bounding up the stairs, and they catch sight of you, Dane. You had readied an action? Yes, with your spell? Okay, so it will actually interrupt their actual turn. So go ahead and...
All right. I need
Zing.
strength saving throws from both of them.
Okay.
DC 15.
Strength save 15. Okay. They both fail.
Hey. Ooh, that was nice. They'll both take 17 points of necrotic damage and cannot take any reactions.
So what just happened?
So as I'm moving, the camera would be sort of following Dane up these stairs, and as he hits that second to last stair, his foot comes down with a splash, and there's this bit of water that perhaps wasn't there momentarily before. And then the next step, there's a deeper splash, and as he steps up onto the stone that makes the roof, this platform that they're standing on, there's even a louder splash. And as he steps down, that water erupts up, and these waving tentacled arms come out of the water, grabbing both of them and slamming them against the parapets of this tower.
They both scream and wail with not only the pain from this horrific experience, but also the sheer terror that is racing through their minds as these tentacles just appear out of nowhere and grasp a hold of them. One of them is screaming, "Witchcraft! Witchcraft!" Anybody who is paying attention can see that the knights on the raft and the knights in the far tower are absolutely responding as if they've heard this. Okay, it is their turn. Are they currently being grappled by these tentacles? No, they're released afterwards. Okay.
Yeah. Just no reactions.
So they both kind of get to their feet, sopping wet, confused, frightened, but they look like they are intent on trying to stop you. So one of them is going to drop the heavy crossbow that he was wielding and draw a longsword, and he's going to close with you, Dane. He's going to take 2 swings at you. What is your armor class?
Horrible. 13, I believe.
Okay. The first one misses you, but just barely. If you're wearing any armor, it's probably likely due to that.
It's just padded armor.
Okay. So the first swing that he makes is more of kind of a... he's kind of recovering, and it's kind of a swing just to kind of keep you back. And as he's kind of regaining his footing, he takes a proper lunge towards you with this longsword, and the second strike will hit. It is going to deal 10 points of slashing damage to you.
So as the sword bites through Dane's padded armor. There's a brief moment where he remembers that he owns leather armor. Probably should have worn that. But more importantly, there's this explosion of frost, like a hoarfrost, the stuff you would see on grass, that spiderwebby look, and there's a sound of ice breaking.
That brings him to 22. The second guard on this tower, not having the room. Okay, that was their turns. Dane, it is your turn.
So Dane steps forward towards his attacker. The water no longer splashing. Perhaps it was actually never even there to begin with. And he looks at these guys, and there is this icy blue water that sits behind his eyes. There's a pupil just sort of floating in a shallow lake. And he looks at them. Tyranny or the support of tyranny will not be tolerated. And he holds out his hand. His sword appears in it, and they can both make dex saves. Again, DC 15.
Okay. Dexterity. They both fail miserably.
They will both take 6 points of damage as a ring of swords erupts in front of Dane and spectrally impales both of them.
So they are both not quite on the brink of trying to escape, but it looks like they're certainly considering it. This display of black magic is certainly not something that is typical of what they go up against. Okay, Eddard, it is your turn.
All right. So where's the conflict taking place now? Have you made it up to the top of the
Yeah,
to
I
the
pushed
tower?
all the way up to the top and
Okay.
stepped to the top of it when I released my first spell. When the guy attacked me and we sort of had that moment, I stepped towards him again, trying to clear at least a 5-foot area because I knew you guys were behind me so that you could also get up to the top.
Okay, perfect. In that case, Eddard will swiftly make his way up behind Dane's attacker, and he pulls his dagger, and with kind of a flourish, he spins his dagger in the palm of his hand, and he attempts to impale the fellow into the back of the neck. So I'm going to go ahead and roll for attack there.
Okay, so if you're trying to make your way around behind this guy, essentially what you'd have to do is kind of crest the stairs and then go around the tower to kind of get around behind him. So
Okay.
do you have a cunning action?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
do that if you'd like.
Yeah, so you'd probably
So-
need to use your dash or something.
So I'll take that cunning action to dash quickly.
Okay.
And I rolled a... Gosh. That's a 24. And would I have advantage because I'm flanking now? I mean, I'm sure I don't... need it
You're
with
also
the-
invisible.
Yeah,
And
you
I'm
would, but
invisible.
you're also hidden.
I just want to try and crit.
Sure.
No crit.
So yeah, the 24 barely hits. I'm kidding. Yeah, you definitely bypass his armor.
Okay,
His
perfect.
chain shirt and shield. He's not currently wearing a shield.
So it's a D4 for the dagger. I'm going to expend one of my bard slots to cast Psychic Blades. That's an extra 3d6 and one extra d6 for sneak attack. Let's see. So that's 3 for the dagger. 1, 2, 5 for the Psychic Blades. 6-7 for the sneak attack. Wow, I'm rolling very badly.
So that's 18 plus the dagger, 21. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Were you attacking the one that is currently wielding a sword and attacking Dane, or the one that shot the crossbow at him?
The one that was squared up with Dane, the sword
Okay.
wielding. Well,
All right. So what does it look like as you kill him?
Well, I think it's kind of like a moment for Dane as he's like interlocked with this guy, and he, the guy looks like he's kind of considering running. Like you said, he doesn't look like he's too confident. And then fourth, like this like area in his neck just starts to glow with like this purplish pinkish hue, and then it just erupts outward, this purplish pinkish magic, and the dagger follows. He crumples to the ground in front of Dane, and then behind his corpse, falling, is the revealed Eddard.
The guard crumples beneath the visceral attack of Eddard, as Eddard kind of fades back into the visual spectrum. The second guard is just completely wide-eyed. The front of him kind of spattered with the blood of his companion. He is absolutely beside himself with terror. Witches!
Burden.
Witches!
Actually,
No tyranny here.
he is beside me as Eddard has positioned himself on behind the guard that he had just slain. I imagine that as his spell wears off, the rushing Tord, who is right behind him, has used his movement to close with the crossbowman and make his attack. 19 on the die for a total of 25.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of push past Dane and bring your sword
Yes.
to bear. Okay.
For a total of what is my modifier? For a total of 8 damage.
Okay.
As this Angorian orc appears before this man and brings his sword down across his chest. If he's standing or not after that blow, I will use my second attack.
Though the slash of your sword cut the tabard that he wore, as well as severing several of the links that form his chain shirt, drawing blood behind them and a cry of pain, he is still very much alive.
The second strike is a 19 total.
Is a hit.
This one, the rage bellowing inside him erupts as this force emerges around his blade. I'm going to use my Divine Smite at first level for a total of 11 radiant damage and 7 slashing.
Please describe what it looks like as you finish him off.
It's a quick 1-2 as I slash down, revealing this bloody line across his chest. It is quickly brought back up, kind of mimicking that line, cutting deeper into his body. But the force of this blow is so much that it actually throws him from the parapets into the water. His cries muffled by a splash and a cloud of red emerging.
The tower is now empty on your side of the river. The three of you stand victorious for the moment.
Tord uses what breath he has. Edit the chain.
Right. Is there any way? Do we see how the chain is connected to the tower?
Yeah, so it's down in the belly of this tower. Kind of, you bypassed it on your way up the stairs to come up here. But essentially, it's kind of one of those large wheels that has many spokes on it, and there's kind of this lever that catches it as it turns. You basically have to pull the lever to kind of raise that catch, and then you're able to turn the wheel, and it'll basically let slack into the chain, so that it'll dip below the surface of the water.
Okay. So I think that's the next move. Back down.
So before we get to that point, the bandits who are on your side out in the raft have also paid attention as much as they can to kind of what's going on in your tower, what just transpired. And they are almost kind of not confused, but they look like they've had to kind of rush the attack. They were expecting to have to feign some kind of diplomacy and whatnot with these knights that were going to intercept them before this all sprung into action, and that happened just a little before they were quite ready. But they have thrown their cloaks off, kind of revealing themselves, and are paddling towards this raft with these other two knights on it, ready to engage. Several of them have produced bows and begin firing at these knights. And a few of them actually managed to hit, and one of them hit very, very, very well. Okay, so okay. The raft is going to take 7. He's going to take... Okay. Several of these arrows kind of fly out from these bandits as they're trying to close the distance. And one of the knights takes an arrow straight into his abdomen. It almost pushes him off the back side of the raft that he's on, but he manages to kind of catch onto the chain as it's fed up through this loop on his raft and keep himself from going into the water. The other took a glancing blow to one of his upper arms, but seems like he's none the worse for wear. Sir John, it is your turn.
All right, so Sir John from his vantage can see that there's some sort of black magic shenanigans going on up at the top of the tower. He assumes Dane is responsible for that, and then he sees this body get cast off of the tower wall. And he's like, well, okay, all well in hand over there. Then he looks to the river, and he sees that these bandits have cast off their disguises, and they engage with these knights. It looks like that's going fairly well, too. So what sort of reaction are the archers on the other side of the river giving right now?
It is very obvious to you that they are knocking their arrows and are preparing to fire, at least on the bandits that are on the raft, if not possibly even at you, your companions in the tower.
Okay. And you said it's about 100 feet across for the river, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my crossbow has a range of 80 feet, and then 360 feet is the max. So do I just roll disadvantage if it's over 80?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure, let's give it a go.
If you would like, you can roll a stealth first to determine whether or not you were hidden, and if you were successfully hidden from view, then you can have advantage, which could wash the disadvantage for the distance.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So roll your stealth.
I've got a 3 on my stealth. Probably not.
No, not so much. So
they didn't see me?
No, they absolutely saw you. And the sign above your head.
Yeah, I shouldn't have carried that banner into battle. Damn it.
It's still sitting on your horse. That's probably...
I'm listening too much to the name of the show. Come on. Okay. So here's my crossbow attack. And it's going to be 14 to hit.
Because they are currently wielding their crossbows and not using their shields, that is actually a hit.
Hey, wonderful. All right, cool. And that's going to be 7 damage.
Okay. So this archer across the way is readying his crossbow, kind of training it on the bandits that are on this raft, and all of a sudden this arcing bolt kind of like just pegs him straight in the upper shoulder, and he takes a step back from the impact before he starts to like whip his head back and forth trying to figure out where in the hell that came from. Looks up and sees Sir John in all of his gleaming glory on the other bank.
And there's like some shrubbery and stuff that is nearby me, but no, I'm standing proud on the bank of the river in all of my armored glory, like eyes looking to see if I can see where it hit and everything. And Ari, I think you're probably pretty close to me. Whether you're out in the open is another question, but you can hear me. The arrow hits and the archer or the bolt hits and the crossbowman responds. And you can hear Sir John kind of go, huh. As if he really didn't expect to actually hit anybody.
Yes, there's lots of shrubbery jokes.
Hey.
We did it, everyone. We made
You're
our
welcome.
Monty Python references. So,
And on that note, thanks everybody for watching.
All right. 15 sessions in. Time to wrap it up. Well,
it's been 0 sessions since our last Monty Python joke.
reset the counter. Well done, Sir John. Well done. That was a fantastic shot. So as Sir John has pegged one of these distant archers across the way, Ariana Shial, it is now your turn.
I would like to do the stealth roll to see if I am hidden behind that shrubbery. That is a 20. So
A little
yeah,
bit,
I'm thinking while Sir John's standing out in the open beside the shrubbery, Ari's actually
the shrubbery.
yeah, she's hiding behind the shrub and she's looking at him kind of like shaking his head. But as all this stuff goes down, she is going to take her short bow and aim at let's say the same one that Sir John just hit. And she's going to loose 2 arrows at this one. So this is not disadvantage, right?
You said you were using a short bow?
Yeah. Which the range is pretty much the same as the crossbow.
Okay, then yes. You would have disadvantage because of the range, but because you were hidden, you would have advantage, so it just washes to a normal roll.
Perfect. Is it going to be a normal roll on both of the shots?
Yeah, I mean, again, a round in D&D is 6 seconds, so I mean, that's 2 arrow looses in 6 seconds. It's kind of hard for someone to change tact in that amount of time.
Okay, so that's going to be a 25 and a 19.
Both will hit.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, I had this written down, but I forgot to mention a bonus action. I was using the Kensei shot, so all my range attacks get an additional D4.
Okay.
If they hit. Okay, so I'm going to blow a key point on the first attack to deal extra damage with it. So that is a total of 13 points of piercing, and it's considered magical for immunities and resistance if that matters at all. And then the second arrow does 9 points of piercing.
So yes, in rapid succession, these 2 arrows, before he really even has much time to recover from the bolt that was embedded into him by Sir John, he kind of, is glaring in Sir John's direction, and then from slightly in a different place, he's pegged with these 2 more arrows, just This guy's becoming a pincushion akin to Ari's doll. He kind of staggers back to the kind of interior wall that kind of forms the top of this tower. And it cries out that you can barely hear from this distance. He is still standing, but he is not having a good day. All right. That brings us back around to the knights. So they are going to attempt... let's handle the archers first. They are both wielding crossbows, so they're only going to get one shot apiece. The one that has been just pincushioned by the two of you is going to attempt to shoot at Sir John. He has a heavy crossbow. 100 feet is in his range. So he is going to shoot horribly well. I'm pretty sure a 4 doesn't hit you.
You know what? I'm dead, I guess.
Yeah, probably.
No, it does not.
Yeah, it sails. It actually falls short, kind of just into the water. Likely because of the severe injuries that he has sustained in the last 6 seconds. The second guy is, however, continuing to train his crossbow on the bandits who are on the raft as he looses his shot and doesn't do a lot better. These guys are, it's hard to find good help whenever you're looking for henchmen. Okay, they both failed miserably. The two knights that are on the raft are continuing to kind of pull their way along the chain so that they can intercept what is obviously some ragamuffins that need to be cut down. They're going to... One of them is going to attempt to leap the short gap between the two rafts. He does so deftly, and landing, brandishing his longsword, he is going to try to swipe at one of them twice. Oh. He rolled a 20 on the first one. And then a 2 on the second. So that first hit, he manages to basically land on top of one of these bandits and just cut straight through whatever leather or studded leather armor that they wield. And the guy just goes down. He deals enough damage to this guy that he's not going to be getting back up without some help. Okay. The other knight, like I said, is continuing to pull along the chain, so that's his action. That brings us to Dane.
Dane hadn't really considered what to do after this. I mean, what do you do? I guess Dane will take out his short bow. I don't know if you'd have it with him. Honestly, probably not. I'm gonna start heading back down the stairs.
Okay. Did you want to start working on the crank for the chain, or are you going to head back out of the tower?
So the only ground combatants that we know of are the two guards who are on another raft, right?
Yes, correct.
No, I'll leave the crank to Eddard, and I'm going to see if I can get down and antagonize these guards, if nothing else.
Okay. You dismount the stairs at the bottom, able to kind of take them, 2 at a time or so, if you wish, and you're back outside within just mere moments. Okay, that brings us to Eddard.
I guess me and Tord can take our turns together since we rolled so close in initiative, and I think we have the same plan. Can you explain to me one time the situation with the chain? I understood that there were some guards on a raft. Is the raft connected to the chain?
Yeah, so this raft has one side of it that has this kind of arm that stands up, and there's an iron eyelet at the top of it that the chain feeds through, so that they can essentially just grab the chain and pull along it, and they don't actually have to bother with rowing or anything like that. They can just, the raft is mobile that way.
Gotcha. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of lifting them up off the ground and just leaving them hanging in the air. What do you suppose we do, Tord?
I think Tor would actually be dropping his sword and shield to brandish his longbow to start working on these guys in the opposite tower.
I don't think I can reach that far. Let me see.
If you cannot, I know there is a guard below us on the raft, our raft, and I know we have to, at some point, disengage this chain. So your move is your own, my friend.
So what do you think disengaging the chain would do?
Allow us to get in. I know that's the ultimate goal. I was I know at the start of this, I had a blitzkrieg kind of ideal of just bum rushing these guys, but we could use the chain to get to the other side, which may ultimately become something we need to do.
I don't know. If I loose it, I could just leave them sitting like ducks in the water with no way to paddle around. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to head down to work on the chain.
And I'm, like I said, going to loose 2 arrows at the guard across the way.
Okay. And are you firing from on top of the tower?
Yeah.
Okay. So that will basically negate the small amount of cover that they had
Okay.
from those that were shooting on the ground. And you were using you said a longbow?
All right, so I have 150 feet.
Okay, yeah, so you're good.
Solid. The first one is a 21, and the second is a 17. Both hits. And I'm attacking the guard that hadn't been hit. I think there was one up there that hadn't been attacked. For a total of... What is my modifier? For a total of 10 damage between 2 arrows piercing.
So both of these arrows likewise find their mark. And this guy who was fresh, he didn't have any blood on him yet, is now looking very similar to the guard standing next to him, with only one less missile sticking out of him. Both of them seem rather distressed, but it seems like they are prepared to continue this fight. All right, that was Eddard and Tord. Eddard, you have made your way downstairs and are basically disengaging the catch that keeps the wheel from like unfurling. If you
will. I wanna unspool it and let the chain fall out.
Okay, so yeah, you kind of removed this catch and are starting to turn this wheel so that slack is put back into this chain. It's going to take a little bit of time. This chain is incredibly heavy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to do.
Excellent. Okay. It is the bandits' go. They, with somebody on their raft now, they have all abandoned their ranged weaponry and have switched to their short swords and are going to try to attack the knight who is closed with them. One of them has managed to score a hit. The others have just glanced off of this knight's armor or his shield. But because this bandit has friends nearby, he made his strike count as best he could. That's... Okay. He manages to slip this short sword kind of in between the plates or the the bottom of this guy's chain shirt, and you can see when he removes the blade that there is a spray of crimson that is kind of thrown across the bottom of the raft and the water of the river. They are drifting further downriver as well. They are no longer paddling the oars, but it is just moving with the current of the water, and is kind of getting bound up in the chain for the moment, kind of coming to a stop. Sir John, it is your turn.
All right, so I think light crossbows reload every round, right? Probably. Yeah, okay. Then I'm gonna you know what? I'm feeling fresh. Let's try another shot at one of these dudes in the tower.
Perfect. Yeah, I think it's an incidental type action that you can use to reload. I don't think it takes any part of your turn to do so.
Gotcha.
You're just limited to one shot around with them.
Gotcha. So Sir John has just finished loading, but he's kind of been distracted because he was watching Ari's shot. And when she hits, he's like, palpable hit, Ari. And then I get a 20 to hit. Dirty 20.
Is that still with disadvantage too?
It is, yeah. I rolled a 17 and a 15.
Hell yes. Okay. So yeah, that will absolutely hit this guy. You said it was the same target, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a 6 for damage.
6 on the damage. So that is... Okay. This guy gets hammered with yet another projectile. Just as he's kind of recovered and was performing a shot of his own, he's now almost spun off of his feet by the impact of another heavy crossbow bolt from Sir John.
But still not dead?
No, still not dead. He is very close, but not quite deceased.
He's strong.
Yeah, these are tough guys. The knights that they serve a house called Fetterland, and these are, while they're not your typical proper knights, they are very rugged. Okay, that brings us to Ariana Shiel.
So just to get the lay of the land, there's still the 2 guards of that far tower. There's still the 2 guards on the raft as well. How are they looking for hurtness? Like, does it look like the bandits are bandits are taking care of them, or
what's the gauge of hurtness?
They are faring better than the pincushion in the tower across the way. But they certainly are not having an easy go of it.
But they've already downed one of the bandits, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many bandits did we send in the first place?
So there were 5 on the raft at the beginning. There are now 4 that are currently fighting.
I think, yeah, Ari's going to change her tactics, seeing that Sir John is able to hit this far guy, and it doesn't look like he's going to be lasting too much longer and towards already shooting. She's going to turn her attention to the ones on the raft and maybe hopefully to even the fight there a little bit by taking one out.
Okay. Are you going for the knight that is still on his original raft, or the one that has jumped over to the bandits' raft?
Now, the one that's jumped over to the bandits' raft is probably surrounded by bandits, right?
Yes. They're doing their best to kind of get around him.
Yeah, I'll aim for the other guy so that I don't hit.
Okay. Yeah. It looks like he is about to try to transition from raft to raft. He just wasn't quite as confident as his friend in doing so.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to shoot 2 arrows at him. Now, he's closer, right? So within the 80 feet?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
more or less in the middle of the river, so about 50 feet from where you guys are. So absolutely within range.
Beautiful. So 2 arrows. Again, I'm using the bonus action to use my Kensei shot. Just focus a little bit on these arrows so that they do a little bit more damage. Ooh, those are not very good rolls. I would like to use an inspiration to re-roll the second attack.
Sure. Absolutely.
So that'll give me a 14 and a 14 on the arrows.
Because they are not wielding their shields currently, both of those will hit.
Oh, yes. Okay, so the first arrow, I'm going to also use a key point to make it punch harder. So 9 to 11. So that's 15 points. And then the second arrow is 11. So that's a total of 26, if I did math right.
As this knight is getting ready to follow his friend and leap from raft to raft, please tell me what it looks like as you end his life.
Oh. So it's almost like the first arrow kind of maybe catches him low in the shoulder, breast area there, and kind of just knocks him back, makes him kind of spin a little bit. And then the second arrow hits the other shoulder area and spins him the other way, and he topples into the river.
All of you can hear the audible splash that it makes when this man wearing his chain armor hits the water, downed by Aranishiel. All right. That brings us back to the top of the round, the knights. The one who is currently surrounded by bandits doubles up on the haft of his longsword and is going to attack 2 of them. The first attack does not manage to find its target, but the second does connect on the backswing, but barely manages to scratch. We're going to call it Sir Thomas. It kind of gets him right across the top of his thigh, but only enough to draw blood. The 2 knights across the way, one of which, the pincushion, kind of turns and staggers into the interior of the tower. And you can see he's very, very injured. He is going for a small rope that you can see dangling from the center of this tower. If you had to guess, because there's one on your side, Tord, it's probably connected to the bell in his tower. The other one, however, is going to continue firing, although he was trained on... Yeah, he's going to fire at the bandits on the raft again. It's going to hit, and... Oof. A second bandit gets drilled by this crossbow bolt and falls off the raft into the water. And you can see he floats to the top, kind of spread eagle in the water, and doesn't look like he survived the shot. Okay, that was all of the knights. That brings us to Dane.
All right. Not fun. I can't see the guy who's moving for the bell, can I? Like, I wouldn't have like a way to know he had done that since I'm back on the ground.
You can roll a perception. Disadvantage, probably.
Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, well, I rolled 2 9s, so 13. So no, that's fine.
Let's see. 13. Actually, you see him as he's disappearing through the opening in the top of the tower. You may not be able to 100% know what he's doing, but you can tell that he's moving into the interior of the tower because there's this smear of bright red on the stone wall that he had kind of been propped up against.
All right, well, here's hoping we don't have to do anything else incredibly difficult past this point. So I think Dane's sort of standing at the base of the door, or the base of the tower at the door, and he had seen these guards on the raft, and that was the focal point until he catches the movement, the sort of crimson smear out of the corner of his eye, and he pulls up and he looks at the tower, and then he looks back inside his tower, and he can see the rope hanging from the alarm bell inside this tower, and panic washes over him. Like, the color drains out of his face because he's not ready to fight an entire like army of individuals. And so he steps off the embankment near this tower, his feet splashing into just the edge, the lapping part of this river, and he extends out his hand, and for all intents and purposes, no one sees anything happen if you're watching. But the guards on that tower, as the camera would focus in, you can hear the squelching footfalls of this guy heading for the bell. You can hear the heavy breathing of the guard and that deep draw of breath as he lines up his next shot, and then there's silence. So I'm going to cast Silence, 120-foot range, 20-foot sphere targeted on the top of the tower.
Well done. That's awesome. I didn't recall that Silence had that kind of range. That's perfect. Okay. You throw this spell outward, and for all intents and purposes, nobody knows that anything happened as of now. So, Dane, the work that you have done will likely go unnoticed. Maybe. We'll see. Eddard, you're up next.
Just working on the chain. I flipped it open and starting to let the slack out. The wheel is very heavy for Eddard. He's not a very strong guy. So he's just trying to let out as much slack as possible.
Okay. Yeah, with that catch open, the chain is doing quite a bit of the work itself. The weight of it being in the water already, it just wants to sink. So it's very quickly kind of spinning out. And if you're not concerned about like keeping it in check or slowing it down at all, you can basically just let go at this point.
Okay.
And it's just going to...
Yeah, that works. I'll do that.
Okay.
Head outside. What's the situation with the guys that were in the raft?
So there's still one knight on the raft, and he is surrounded by 3 additional bandits, one of which is Sir Thomas Kane towards Friend.
How far away would you say I am from these guys in the raft?
50 feet.
50 feet? Okay. I think I'm going to... I think I'm going to go ahead and do the adequately evil thing and cast Hold Person on the fellow in the raft. And I will let the bandits finish him off.
Okay, so you need a wisdom save?
Yes, wisdom 15.
DC 15. Okay. Okay. He failed.
Perfect.
So, yeah, what does it look like as your spell takes hold of him?
I like to imagine that he's like noticing how south this whole situation is going. And he kind of starts to look for an out as the boat, starts to make its way into the water, and without anything to hold on to it, it just is stagnant in the water. He looks around, he sees the knights, he looks up to the tower, he sees his men getting taken out, and then he looks down to the shore where he saw one boy ride up with a horse to the tower, and he sees Eddard on the bank, and he just kind of locks eyes with Eddard, and nobody else can really see it, but he knows, and he freezes up, can't move.
So the terror of this lost situation grips him in its icy talons, and he seizes, unable to move his body under his own will. Tord, it is your turn.
Can you kind of just recap the positioning of everybody?
Absolutely. So the seized knight is the only remaining one in the middle of the river. He is on the raft with the 3 living bandits, one of which is Thomas Kane. They are surrounding him. With him being frozen, it doesn't look like he has much of a chance any longer. On the tower, on the opposite side of the bank, one of the knights is incredibly bloodied and has moved inside to what looks like ring the alarm bell. And the other knight that is still in that tower has been hit with 2 arrows? I think it's 2 arrows. But still looks like he is relatively healthy, quote unquote.
Was he still up on the parapets?
He is, yes. It looks like he is still intent on firing.
Okay.
He's currently reloading.
Unable to do much about the man that's gone inside the tower, Tord's just going to loose another 2 arrows at the lone guard standing up there now. A 20 and a 2. Nat 20 and 6.
Oh, okay. The 6 will not hit, but that critical will certainly do some damage, I'm sure.
And I'm rolling 1 die, adding modifier and doubling it, or rolling the die, doubling it, and then adding the modifier, or rolling.
So the way I do criticals, the way I do criticals is you take the maximum amount of damage that the weapon can do, die plus modifier. Okay. Put that aside. Then roll and add your modifier a second time, and then put all of that together.
2 max damages. This guy takes 18 points.
Okay. Okay. What does it look like?
So there's a scene in the first Incredibles movie where Mr. Incredible throws a coconut and hits a guy in the head, and he falls off. It's like that, but significantly more gruesome. As I shoot 1 arrow, it misses and it kind of catches his attention. As he turns, the second kind of pegs him in the eye, and he spins, and he also falls. But I don't think he falls into the water. I think he kind of just falls in front of the door.
Absolutely. He lands with this kind of wet, kind of slop sound in the mud that's on the side of this bank. He is deader than dead.
Seeing that this is what he could do from this vantage point, he unstrings his bow, picks his sword and shield back up, and whatever movement I have, I'm booking it back downstairs.
All right.
Actually, hold on. How tall is this tower?
I think they're 20 feet, is what I had said.
As a bonus action, I'm going to Misty Step to the bottom.
Inside or outside?
Outside.
Okay.
And I'm going to use my movement to try and close with my horse if I can see it. If not, I'm just going to kind of run to the trail so I can get in a position where I can.
Yeah, so you slapped it, so I imagine it kind of took off. It's been several rounds,
right.
So I imagine it was just kind of... It's probably not all out running anymore. It's probably grazing somewhere somewhat nearby.
I think we are bound by an instinctive bond, which allows us to fight as a seamless unit. That's well mounted. Yeah, never mind.
I imagine there's like some kind of whistle that you have that is specific to him.
It's like a very, very iconic, like I can't do it, but where you put your fingers in your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably on either side of your tusks.
Yeah. So as Dane said, I pretty much just like leap from the parapets, and everyone's like, "Oh no, Tord, what are you doing?" And then I'm on the ground already, kind of into a run. That'll be my turn.
All right. So yeah, and you've made your way up to the trail and called for your steed. All right. Let's see. That was Tord. Okay. The bandits. The three of them have surrounded this remaining knight on the raft, and I mean they just skewer him repeatedly over and over before he has the chance to regain control over his limbs. They run him through and finish him off. That brings us to Sir John.
That's everybody we can see, right? Or everybody I can see?
Yeah, the only remaining knight is the one that went into the top of the tower across the way.
Yeah. Well, nothing I can do about him. So I think the raft is it like halfway across the river to the other side, or is it fairly close to us?
It is about halfway across the river, so it's about 50 feet from your bank.
Okay. And the chain is lowering, right?
Yes. The chain has lowered to the point where the weight of it has actually taken the raft that the knights brought across. It has actually tipped their raft over and is starting to drag it beneath the surface of the water.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I think then Sir John is probably going to move toward Dane. I imagine we're fairly far apart. So I think maybe I would just get there at the end of my movement. But I kind of see Dane, doing his thing, and I'm like, it looked like quick work up there in the tower.
There's still one more in the tower across the water. He was going. I think he was going for the alarm bell, but that won't work.
Why not?
He kind of like impishly smiles at you.
Sir John, nods. Well done then.
He does, however, look freaking exhausted. Oh, and also stabbed. Very, very stabbed.
Where are you stabbed?
I think I believe, if I remember correctly, Jeremy just said he like slashed me across my torso. So like my padded armor is like ripped and like partially open, and perhaps even there's that instructor moment where you're like, and why aren't you wearing like the leather that we just got you?
Yeah. So John is like, how bad is it?
And like I think Dane looks down for the first time, realizing that he's actually hurt. And I don't like it's bad. Like, I mean, you can see like his like sternum, the bone of it, sort of through the wound. He pulls his hand back, covered in blood. Oh, it won't kill me.
We should have it addressed immediately, though, all the same. Can you take care of it yourself?
As soon as I make sure no one else needs healing.
Very well. And then, realistically, I imagine that's probably the end of our 6 seconds.
Okay. So, Dane, how long does your silence spell hold out? How long does that last?
Uh, 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay.
So, Jeremy, how deep is the river? Like, is it a fast flowing river, or is it fairly?
No, it's a very wide river, and it is fairly deep. So the current is steady, but it's not exactly fast moving. You could swim it easily enough if you are capable. But those of you who are wearing heavy armor, it might not be an easy task to do.
I think Ari would, she's going to swim across.
Okay.
She'll leave her most of her stuff, like the backpack and all that, all of the gear, and just take her sword.
Okay.
With her. Yeah.
And you don't wear armor, right? As a monk?
I do not. No.
Okay. So, yeah, you shouldn't have any hindrance as far as that goes. So, you need to make an athletics check, please.
Okay. Oh, that's such a very bad roll. So, I'm going to use inspiration to not roll that one.
Okay.
Try that again. That's better. So, that would be a 15.
Excellent. Yeah, that's plenty good enough. So let's see. You're not doing anything else. Are you just trying to kind of swim this as fast as you can? Are you taking your time?
No, I'm going fast because I don't know how long Dane can hold out with that spell, or if the guy is going to notice that it's not making noise. So I want to get over there as quick as possible.
Okay. And what is your speed?
My walking speed is 45.
Holy shit. Okay. So, essentially dashing, but your swim speed is half your normal speed. So you move 45 feet across the river. So you're almost halfway across this very broad river in a very short amount of time. Okay. That brings us back around to the knights. None of you see or hear anything. Dane, it is your turn again.
Out of the air quote bandits that we brought with us, I know one of them was killed and fell into the river. Are there other wounded up there that are visibly wounded?
Yes, the very first one that got struck is laid out on the raft. You can see that he's still alive. He's kind of rolling around, but he was gravely injured.
Okay. So kind of on the heels of the conversation with Sir John, I think Dane wades out to about mid-thigh deep in the water, and then he lays his bloodied hands from his own chest wound into this water to wash it off. And as the blood sort of floats out, it takes on a golden hue and slides across the surface of the water. And I'll heal that guy for 10 points.
He seems to make a remarkable recovery as the water kind of comes up onto the raft, knitting some of his gash closed. And you can see he kind of rolls over and is looking into the water. He doesn't seem to realize that you were the source of this at all. He's looking at the water.
And I think when he does, he doesn't see his own reflection momentarily. I think he sees this familiar sword, this image, this thing that maybe he's heard about before. And so that fairy tale idea that you might have of Excalibur, only this would be the sword of Vykaril, right? Like he sort of sees this sword just beneath the water, and I think his hand reaches for it, and of course the image fades, but nonetheless.
Yeah, it's pretty apparent even from this distance that he's having a bit of an existential crisis at this moment. Okay, that brings us to Eddard.
I'm not sure what to do in this moment. There's not a whole lot for me to do anyway. I'm on this side of the river. I'm not crossing the river. Suppose. I think I will. I don't know. You got me stumped. I think I'm going to skip my turn. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. So, Tord, is there anything that you would like to do?
I think I would like to approach Sir John and Dane.
Okay.
Seeing Dane's injury. He didn't heal himself. He just healed the...
Correct.
Laying a hand on his shoulder. I'm going to give him some lay on hands. He's not here right now, so I don't want to overdo it. But
yeah, you guys can discuss. Yeah, you guys can discuss the actual numbers whenever he gets back, so you don't waste any of it if you don't want to.
Ari is making her way across the river. Our bandits are moving through the gate. Eddard has, I imagine, kind of joined Sir John, Dane, and I.
Yeah, so
outside this fortification.
So the bandits
I was outside on the bank already.
Right.
Yep, I think everybody is outside now.
I almost take this to use my turn as like a regroup. I'm gonna lay on hands, Dane. I think that's an action. Whistle for my horse to come. Look to Sir John. Are you ready? We ride.
Yes. I also whistle, and my horse canters over.
Okay. The bandits are picking up the oars and are starting to row once again. And this time they're kind of turning the raft towards where you are, all on the bank, and making their way towards you. The plan was to come and pick you up basically on the raft, and then all together you would sail into the underbelly of the castle on this raft. So it looks like they are moving into the next phase of this raid. Sir John, is there anything that you want to do?
Not in particular, no. Although in real life, I could use a bio break.
Yes, we are about to take it. Just a moment. I'm going to let Ari get across the river and then resolve what's going to happen then. It is her turn. So, Ari.
Yes. I'm going to continue to swim. I have a quick question. I can spend a key point to make a dash action as a bonus action, could then I take a dash action as an action?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so let's do that. So then I can get across.
Okay.
And
So yeah, make one more athletics roll.
oh, that's a 14.
Okay. Yep, you're good.
Okay. Phew.
So you finish this rapid crossing of this river and are out and onto the opposite bank with most of your movement still remaining.
I would like to I would like to go into the tower and up to find this guy and end his life. That is my goal.
Okay. So since everybody else is kind of regrouping while you're doing this, we'll just go ahead and let you mount the stairs. You find this guy. I mean, he's pallid. He's waning very quickly. There's blood everywhere in here, seeping out from his various puncture wounds, and he has his bloodied hands wrapped around the rope of this bell and is just laying on it, pulling it over and over and over again. But you hear no sound whatsoever. He doesn't even seem to register that there's no sound coming from this. And at some point, as you were mounting the stairs, you crossed a threshold into this eerie silence. But this is what you have found at the top of the stairs.
So Ari would begin to speak, but knowing that no sound comes out, she would just kind of stand in such a way that this guy can see her. And I know he's like not moving or anything. She kind of puts her finger to her lips, and then she will just kind of stab him in the most vulnerable part and wait till he dies silently.
Just kind of stab him. You kind of make your way in front of him, and he kind of looks up at you with these kind of watery eyes, almost like he barely even registers that you're there. He kind of looks at you for a second with this blank expression, and just continues to kind of wring on this rope as hard as he can. And with this last kind of pull, he falls kind of down to his knees, just kind of looking at you, and he lets the rope kind of slide out of his bloodied hands, and his arms just drop down by his sides as you finish what was started by the arrows and bolts of your compatriots. There is not a sound. The blade ends his life with nary a noise, and he slides to the ground, and you are able to disembark from the tower.
Yeah, and before she leaves, she's going to reach down actually and close his eyelids, kind of almost in a mercy gesture, because she just had to let him go. So be at peace, and then she will leave the tower and swim back, hopefully.
Absolutely. Okay, and with this first part of this attack, this assault on the castle finished, we are going to go ahead and take our break now, 5 to 10 minutes, and then as our characters regroup, we will regroup, and then we will finish the second part. So if you are watching this evening, thank you very, very much for tuning in. If you're watching some point later on in the future, I thank you as well. Just stick right there, and we will be right back. Okay, we are back. Steve will join us momentarily, I am sure. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into the second part of tonight's game. Like I said, thank you very, very much for tuning in this evening or in the future. I appreciate it very, very much. Hope you're having as much fun as we are. So, fresh off of victory, you are able to reconvene and prepare yourselves for the second phase of this assault. So what kind of things are we seeing as you are moving into the second phase? What are you up to as you're kind of making your way on this raft up this channel to the actual castle?
I think Sir John is giving some quick field dressing to Dane's wound. Just sort of, applying a bandage, that sort of thing.
Are we on the raft already?
Yes, as long as you guys are all on board with that plan.
I had one thing that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, never mind. It doesn't make sense in this situation. We'll save it.
Okay. So yeah, anything that you want to prep heading into the castle, you'll have enough time to do so on the ride up this canal, including, like I said, you'll be able to take a short rest in the interim. As far as applying a bandage to Dane's wounds, if you have a healer's kit, I think it can actually recuperate some hit points. Otherwise, it'll just be a narrative attaboy.
Purely narrative attaboy over here.
Right. I think Torch said he was going to do lay on hands anyway.
Okay, cool. So does that mean, is Dane back up then? Feeling good?
So then there's a moment where Sir John, bandages Dane up, and then Tord comes over and just magically heals it, and then Dane takes off the bandage, and Sir John is like, "This is fine. This is not a problem."
Tord, like,
Sir John kind of looks at Tord and is like, I'm supposed to kill you someday, right?
and you're also supposed to kill me someday.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said Dane. You both are. Ariana Shell's got dibs. What's new? I'm sure there's someone in the castle we're going to that wants to kill me too.
Don't worry, I won't let that happen. You're mine.
Sir John, you mean it? I'm touched.
That actually was an in-character laugh. Sir John's feeling himself. It's been a while since he's been in a good old battle.
This is every day for Tord. People just want to kill me. I get it.
Perfect.
I stand closer to Eddard. The only person who hasn't vowed to kill me.
And Ari's just standing over in the corner somewhere, wringing out her clothing and putting back on all the gear that she left behind, and just kind of smirking as she hears the carryings on of the two.
Perfect.
Eddard, you don't want to kill me, do you?
Why would I have any reason to kill you?
Very well. Very good. Very good. Carry on.
Lord, you're acting strange.
Am I?
I'm just saying, I certainly don't have any reason to kill you. Why would you accuse me of having any reason to do such a thing?
Just friendly check-in.
I see. Well then.
Perfect. So the three remaining bandits and the five of you, somewhat crowded perhaps, on this raft, have made your way up through the trees that kind of grow up and over this channel, protecting you from being spotted from any of the guards that may be on the actual walls of the city itself. The last bit of distance that you're going to have to cross, however, is the area that is cleared around the castle walls and the moat itself. However, you have been ensured by Thomas that his men infiltrated this castle's guard some time ago, and they managed to situate themselves so that only they are positioned on this wall during this period of time. So you continue to paddle your oars up this river without any concern. And as you cross this last bit of distance, you can see two guards on the walls kind of passing, and they both kind of stop and give a slight hand wave before continuing on. You paddle straight up to the walls of this castle, where there is an arched opening right at the surface of the water, with a portcullis just inside that looks like it hasn't been lowered in a long, long time. It is rusted, and there's plant life and moss and algae kind of growing all over it. You basically just have to kind of duck, and the raft will fit straight underneath the tines of the bottom of the portcullis without much effort at all.
As we're going under, Sir John turns to Sir Thomas and he says, you have men on the inside.
Aye?
Are there many?
No. There's 4.
How will we tell friend from foe?
Well, they're only involved as far as watch duty is concerned. They won't be helping us any further than this.
Very good. We don't want any more accidents.
Indeed. We've already lost 2 men.
Indeed. Well, he kind of salutes with his sword. Luck in battle?
I have a feeling that with all of you by my side, I don't think luck is exactly what I'll be relying on. All right. You sail into the bowels of this castle. You're greeted with the constant sound of echoed dripping as water seeps into this underground area, and there's not much that you can even see in here. Past this portcullis, the light fades very, very quickly, and you're plunged into darkness. With some help from those in your party who can actually see in the dark, you're able to guide this raft towards a small shore, pier type situation, an underground receiving area that looks like it was probably used for loading and offloading things that were brought into the castle. There are torches in the sconces, but they are not lit. and you can see just kind of on the other side of this landing, there is a door that has a small window in the top of it with a couple of bars, and you can see stairs that ascend pretty steeply on the other side of it.
So John looks at the rest of everyone, and and then he looks to Tord, and he says, "You and I first."
Wouldn't have it any other way.
I think quietly, if we can.
Tord looks down at his chainmail. I'll do my best.
John taps his half plate, as will I.
Ari just shakes her head.
Yes, you've all got fancy armor.
Okay. So Tord and Sir John move up to the front, kind of disembarking from the raft as it pulls up to this small landing. You move up to the door, and you can see that it is locked. It doesn't look like this is a substantial door, nor does the lock look like it's all that of a high quality. But it is, for the moment, sealed.
Edit. Can you open it?
Yes, I can certainly try. So Eddard kind of makes his way over to Tord and John. What kind of lock am I looking at?
So this is kind of a rudimentary job. It looks like it's mostly iron, and the moisture down here has not been very kind to it over time, and it doesn't look like it has been replaced in probably your lifetime. So you don't think that it's going to be incredibly difficult to bypass, as long as you have knowledge of doing so.
And he does. He goes to one of the many packs on his side and pulls out his pick and attempts to crack the lock. So I'm going to go ahead with that. Let's see. I don't even think I have proficiency with this, but I do have a lock picking set. So would it just be a sleight of hand?
Yeah, just to make a sleight of hand roll. That's fine.
Okay. 22.
Yeah, I mean, you barely have inserted any of the implements that you have kind of into this lock, and you can feel that, like, some of the tumblers are actually even missing. It's very, very easy to manipulate this lock, and before long you hear a noise, and the door kind of gives free.
Yeah, Eddard makes a small crack, and he nods towards Tord and Sir John. She's all yours.
Tord opens the door.
So John is right behind and looks into the room really quick just to make sure it's not full of people or anything. And if it seems empty, then he's moving in. And he's got his sword held half sworded, so his offhand is gripping the blade, and he's ready to do some close quarter stuff if he has to.
Yeah, and that absolutely makes sense here, because this door opens up immediately into a staircase. And this narrow staircase is probably 5 feet at the widest. And each of the steps is probably close to a foot rise. These stairs are very steep, and they're covered with moisture and humidity. But at the ready, one by one, you start to slink up these stairs, making your way up into the keep proper. the castle of Rasenfliot. All right. You make your way upwards, and you soon realize that you're in the kind of the underworkings of where the servants and things of that nature would be milling about the castle. So there is a bit of traffic that you can hear before you actually have left this staircase, so you know that there are people milling about here. Where do you wish to try to go, and how are you going to try to escape being found?
So Sir John grew up in a castle, and it's a castle from the same general culture. So maybe I could make like an insight roll to see if I can discern some sort of out of the way passage that would lead us toward where the Baron might be located, because I think the goal here is to depose the Baron. Or are we only trying to rob from him?
No, I think the plan is to get him to give up his position, and if that is by force and actually killing him, then all the better.
Okay.
But yeah, I think an insight roll from John makes perfect sense, and I'll say you can have advantage.
Okay. So that is 24.
Absolutely. So please, if you would, describe to me this path that you had a hunch that turned out correctly and is actually going to lead you straight to the chamber, the audience chamber.
Sure. Well, of course it goes through the kitchens. And did we talk about the time of day? I know that it was a few hours, and then I imagine it's between meals. Actually, maybe just after a meal. So the kitchen is empty.
So the sun was just starting to set as the attack at the chain happened. So it is probably full dark at this point.
Okay, yeah. So after dinner, and the kitchens have closed down. There may be, like a late night food order or something from this jerk of a Baron, but for now, there's nobody in there, and we're able to make our way through. And then it leads out into a little adjoining passageway, and then basically directly into the hall. It's a pretty straight shot, and Sir John's insight is mostly knowing that this is a straight shot, and it's unlikely to be well traveled right now.
Yeah, with the evening meal having been completed, most of the cleanup is either well underway or starting to be finished. So everybody's kind of set to task, and that's probably largely what Sir John recognized as you kind of started looking around. And it made for very easy passage to get to the audience chamber. And as you're kind of approaching this audience chamber where the doors are set wide open, you can see two guards kind of standing outside of those open doors, and you can hear a voice from within. And it sounds like somebody is essentially just kind of has their feet kicked up and is relaxing. There's probably some kind of music that is being played, some form of entertainment.
Okay, and so it's not a very like heavily populated room, but it's like a minstrel and the Baron and maybe like a few other people.
It doesn't sound like there's very many people. Maybe a handful at most. You don't... Looking around, this place is... It's well appointed for a run-down place. It does not look like this is a place whose court has a lot of visitors.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think then Sir John kind of looks at Tord and then back to everybody else, and shrugs as if to say, "Are we ready to go?" All right then. I think Sir John just steps in with Tord then.
What do you wish to do with the two guards that are outside the door? You just going to try to move past them, or?
I mean, it's 2 against 6, It's 2 against like 8, really. I kind of just want to walk in.
Okay. So maybe Sir Thomas and the other 2 bandits can kind of handle those 2 guys as the rest of you get to stride into the audience chamber with confidence.
I feel like if we all have our weapons drawn, like some sort of intimidation check to be like, look.
Hang back.
Yeah. Do you want to
Sure.
die right now?
Yeah, I like that. Go ahead and make that roll, Tord. And again, you outnumber them 4 to 1. All of you are seasoned and well armed, so you can have advantage.
Oh yeah, 16 on the die. I'm not proficient in intimidation. 19 total.
So, even still, even with it being something that you're not exactly practiced at, you have more than enough leverage behind you, and your party marches forward. Both of them kind of move their halberds as if to intercept, and then realize that it's not just the first 1 or 2 of you that's coming forward, that it just keeps growing, this group of yours, and very quickly they kind of shrink and just kind of fall back against the doors and melt off to the sides. You step into the audience chamber, and you see the Baron sitting in a comfortable-looking, overstuffed chair, listening to these minstrels play, while a couple of people play what looks almost like a chess game or something off to the side. He's just sitting in this chair, kind of intently listening to this music, with a glass of wine in his hand. And as you enter, this kind of furrowed, prominent brow he has turns towards your direction to regard you. What are you doing here? Nobody announced you. Who are you? Speak up.
I am Sir John Lightenor, of the House Lightenor.
Lightenor. Why do I know that name? Wait a minute. Yeah. I know your name. You're that disgraced house. You're the one that Mellowayne had to whip into shape. Hmm?
They certainly tried.
Well. Lord Lightenor, what can I do for you? Why do you enter my house so armed?
Not what you can do for me, what you can do for your own people. It seems you've the only comfy chair in your barony.
So you're a do-gooder. That's it?
Not just me. And he gestures back to everyone else.
Ah. Conspirators, is it? You come to take my comfy chair, do you?
Sir John actually does kind of pause for a little while because Sir John's realizing like, oh, he's never really been in a situation like this before. This is odd. And he says, in a manner, yes, but it can be a manner of your choosing. From one lord to another, you can always treat your subjects with magnanimity and justice.
These people are pig farmers and cow herders. They wallow around in their own piss and shit. They don't know anything.
No pork and beef in your kitchens tonight. You need them.
You know, I just sent word to House Lathelbrun about paying them a visit soon. I think maybe this will be brought up when I visit them.
No, I think you sent a lie to them.
Guards! He kind of pauses. Guards! What is going on? He kind of starts to stand from his chair. Very, very visibly upset.
Can I use a spell?
Absolutely.
I would like to cast Command.
Okay.
Tord pipes up. Sit down! It's a wisdom save.
Let us see here.
Yeah, wisdom save DC 14.
Okay. Okay. He got a 19 on the die. You issue this ultimatum Tord, and he looks to you and still rises from his chair, kind of reaches down to put his hand on this bizarre looking hilt of a sword that he has. What did you say to me, orc? You march your filthy ass into my house, and you think that you're going to tell me what to do?
I simply gave you the opportunity to listen.
I've had enough of this.
You've had enough of this.
Indeed, sir.
I can.
Indeed, I have. Collect your rabble and leave.
Draw your weapon.
What? He kind of looks sheepishly towards the other members of the court that are kind of gathered here, staring at this situation with their mouths agape. The minstrels have stopped playing. I don't have to accept a challenge from the likes of you. Who are you to challenge me? Some street urchin? Filth?
What, you too scared? You look like you're squirting in your boots here.
This is preposterous. This is unheard of. I won't stand for this. Guards!
Well, then sit down.
We are heralds of many things unheard of. It is true.
Let's see.
Lord, If it does please you, I think you do actually have to accept his challenge. You see, Sir Tord here represents one of the Shieldhouses, Lord Baneshield. We work on his behalf, and as such, I do believe he can command an honor duel.
You come and lay down a challenge from an elven shield bearer that no one has seen or heard from in decades. No one even knows if he's still alive.
I assure you my presence here is proof enough.
It just goes to show how ignorant you are. If you don't know that Baneshield has been seen in the south, he's been around, you are out of touch and therefore should sit down or just remove yourself.
I see. He kind of turns and grabs the decanter of wine and kind of slowly refills his drink. You can see by the firelight, the fine crystal that this decanter is made from is shaking in his hand as he pours the liquid. He takes a long, deep drag off of this glass and then very quickly turns and he hurls the decanter at you, Tord. Does a 19 hit you?
19 is my armor class.
Okay. This decanter of wine shatters, the weight of it in the glass dealing 6 points of slashing damage. It must have hit you in the face. And as he has thrown this, before it's even made contact with you, he has spun on his heels and is fleeing out of a different door out of the back of this room.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
I know this isn't really rules as written, but I have deflect missiles as a reaction.
Oh my god.
Possible for me to try and grab that glass as it's hitting Tord and catch it, hopefully.
Okay, so we did not necessarily establish that you were necessarily standing next to him, but roll me a dexterity saving throw, and we'll let that determine whether or not.
So that's a 12.
Mm-hmm. That's good enough. So you have to kind of like take this almost leaping stride to kind of get there, but it puts you within range to activate this ability.
Okay, so when I do... Okay, so it reads as I can use a reaction to deflect or catch this missile.
Mm-hmm.
The damage you take from the attack is reduced by 1d10 plus 11. If you reduce it to 0 and have a free hand, I can spend a key point to actually throw it back.
Well, since it's plus 11 and it only dealt 6 points, I'm going to go ahead and say that it does successfully reduce it to 0 points.
Perfect.
So what does that look like and what do you do with it?
Instead of throwing it back, can you just hand it to me and I can take a drink?
Yes. Okay, I do that. I grab it just as it's about to maybe hit Tord gracelessly, and it grabs it out of the air. So she catches it and then just calmly hands it to Tord.
Tord unstoppers it and takes a drink.
The people at the court, you can kind of hear this like audible gasp whenever this transpires, and then several of the minstrels like start clapping. Well done. They seem rather entertained by this turn of events. Okay.
If you choose to flee, you decline the honor duel and forfeit.
He is gone.
I guess I'm saying this aloud to the minstrels and
Sure.
general court. and by right, the barony is no longer yours. Fine members of the court, you witnessed this today. Your baron, a coward. Is this the man who rules you? A fine example indeed.
He is the richest and most powerful man in the area. So yes.
Riches that remain here within the keep?
Yes.
Well, I think Tord, I believe Dane says he's making a move. I don't want to.
Okay, Dane,
I just figure while Tord's talking, I don't know exactly how well that holds up. I do know, however, that a dead baron can't rule. So, yeah, I'm going after him.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll go with Dane. I'll follow Dane.
Ari would totally follow after Dane as well.
Oh, never mind. I'll stay with Tord. I'll be his hype man.
Okay.
I think Sir John's got to go with Dane.
Okay. So Dane, Sir John, and Ariana Shial take off after this man as he runs kind of deeper into the keep. Tord and Eddard stay back to entertain, I suppose.
Eddard, you know more than I in terms of these, but I believe perhaps a change is in order.
Yes, I do believe you're right. You say that he's the richest and most powerful man in the land. Like my good friend Tord here said, he's hoarded all his riches in this keep, paying you mere copper. And powerful. Don't even get me started.
Tord looks back to Sir Thomas. Has he remained here with us?
He has. He has his arms kind of folded across his chest and seems very amused at this whole unfolding of events. He seems very impressed that it, at least apparently, all happened so easily.
Sir Thomas, do you have anything you'd like to say to the members of the court?
I'm not one for formal standings and all, but I think it's pretty clear what's happened here. So if the good Baron isn't willing to come back and accept this challenge, and if he's not willing to lay down his arms, then I believe Ravenfleet belongs to my friend Tord here.
Tord is sauntering over to the throne, or the comfy chair, and he's going to sit down.
It's a very comfy chair.
Yeah, Eddard walks over next to him.
The lesser nobles that are in attendance at court begin coming over to you, Tord, and start chatting you up. They want to know where you're from and what your name is, and it's pretty obvious that they are huge sycophants. The minstrels soon strike back up a chord. The three of you who have given chase, you're following the kind of corridors that this man is running down. He is heading deeper into the keep and is making his way through descending passages. And there's a few guards that he has run past, and he essentially just kind of hastily grabs them and throws/pushes them towards you as a means to basically just slow your chase and give himself more time to try to get away. But narratively, if you would please, describe how these guards are little more than just that, a slowing of your pace.
I think the first one, Sir John, doesn't even raise his sword. He just says, "Is he worth your life?" And then the guard steps aside.
Yeah, he absolutely just throws his pole arm down to the ground with a clatter, and kind of just shows his hands up in a sign of no contest and backs away. Dane, Ariana Shiel, do you want to narratively describe how you deal with some of these guards?
I think for Dane at the perhaps the beginning of it, right? The guy that Sir John just dressed down. I think Dane just hit the stones on his knees and just slid past him before he caught his feet and started running again. And then hearing that that statement bellow from Sir John as Dane turns a corner and runs into another guard, that echo of Sir John, is it worth your life, coming down the hallway? Dane just holds out his hand and a sword just appears in it. And I think the guard just sort of goes, nah, I'm not much for black magic, so, he went that way.
Yeah, he gives whatever the equivalent of, the sign of the cross kind of thing is, and absolutely gets out of your way.
I think as the chase goes on, Ari starts pulling maybe ahead of Dane and Sir John. She can run a little bit faster. So as that booming echo and the clattering of the swords fall behind her, the next guard that's pushed in her way, she just basically uses the momentum that the Baron already thrust upon this man to just kind of continue, and almost does like a leaping, and then kind of flips over on his back with her back and rolls over him, basically pushing him even further down to the ground. And she keeps running.
You continue on, Ari, pressing on with your incredible speed, and you come to a door that has been shut, but there's no way to lock it. There's no way to bar it. It was literally just pushed shut to try to, again, slow your chase. And you manage to push this door open, and you realize that you've come down in the keep to the point where this level is partially flooded with water. It looks like you're probably in what at one point was the dungeons. You can see that the water in this room looks like it's probably only about knee deep, give or take. And there's like a dry kind of landing on both sides of this room. There's all kinds of chains and rusted implements hanging kind of all over this room, from the ceiling, from the walls. And you can see on the other side of the room where that other landing is, there's another tunnel that seems to continue onward. After a moment of kind of taking all of this in, you hear footsteps coming back from that tunnel across the way. And you see the Baron step back into the room, looking like a caged rat. Apparently, this tunnel didn't lead to where he wanted, and he's come back this direction to try to find another path. And as he steps back into this room, separated by about 50 feet or so, he sees you enter through this doorway. I can pay you. I can give you... How much gold would you like? Your weight in gold. 3 times your weight in gold. A
Yes.
title.
All of your gold and your title given away.
Yes. You can't take everything. I've worked too hard for this.
You have forgotten the purpose of work, and for that you will rescind your title and your lands and everything that you own.
By what right do you do this? You ruined me. For what reason?
Just as you have ruined your commoners.
You and your family, House Lightenor, are you any different? Do your serfs not serve you? Do they not complain at their treatment? That's what serfs do. They complain.
Sir John looks back at Dane and he says, "We are making amends."
Serfs don't complain. They toil. They don't wallow in mud. They plant seeds. They don't reek of shit because they choose to. They smell like it because your perfumed ass wouldn't know what a pig was if it wasn't for us. And you want to pay us. To buy us. Is that all this is to you? I start just trudging through this water towards him. And you would what? Go back upstairs, change your pants that you've no doubt shat in, sit back in your comfy chair, and tomorrow, what? You'd forget? You'd send guards to burn down the very village that feeds you. And all for what? Because that's serfs. It's commoners. It's what we are, right? We'll never rise above that station. We could never be you, right? All the money in the world wouldn't make a difference because we don't breathe the same air.
I own this river. It's mine. It was given to me, my right. All the lands that you can see around it are mine. But you will not take it from me. He reaches into his jacket and pulls forth a strange-looking vial. This device kind of glows with this green growth all over it. And you can see chains kind of bound up around this wooden vial. He holds it high above his head and smashes it into the water. You will not take this from me. Never! There's a quiet calm in the room. And then suddenly, bloop, bloop, some very large air bubbles surface in the knee-deep water that Dane is standing in. The surface of the water begins to roil in the area where these bubbles are surfacing. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session. I know, but we do not have enough time to get into what is coming next, so I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off now. I promise it's going to be better this way.
Holy shit.
So, thank you very, very much, everyone, for tuning in, for watching this game, as well as a massive thank you to these 5 players who every single session bring such enormous life and character to these people that they are playing, and carve out this wonderful little corner of this very disturbed world that they live in. It's an utter joy to watch you guys work, and I mean that. So thank you. I'm going to pass this over to them so that they can give any kind of closing statement that they would like, any kind of outros. If they mention a channel, you should be able to find the link to that channel in the description of this video down below. Please go and check out anything that they mention. You will not be sorry. So, let's go ahead and pass it to Karen first.
Speechless. You did it again. What did we just get ourselves into? I absolutely love this session. This was great. It was. I love playing with these guys and everyone. So I really don't have much to say besides I look forward to this every single month that we play. Thank you all for being so wonderful to play with.
Feeling is absolutely mutual, Karen. Thank you very, very much. Next up, we have Steve.
No, as always, great session. I really, just to echo Karen, I look forward to this game. So it's a lot of fun. You guys are all incredible players, and Jeremy, the game is always wonderful. So thank you for that. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the next session and getting killed by some sort of ooze monster. It'll be great.
This is fine. I'm sure it's fine. It's probably just some kind of gassy scuba diver.
He literally just lit the whole room on fire, but it's full of water. It'll be okay.
It's just a sauna. All right. Next up, we have Eli.
Hello, everybody. I'm Eli Kurtz. I head up the Mythic Gazetteer, which just, like I said at the beginning of the show, put out the final episode of The Tale of Hunter's Bay, a fantasy audio drama set in my fantasy world of the Blackwood, which is also connected to a game that I'm developing called Errant Deeds, Tall Tales in the Blackwood. It's forged in the dark, so if you like Blades in the Dark or any games like that, check it out. Thank you very much for the opportunity to play in this game again. It was a ton of fun this session. It was a really cool balance of action and the usual intrigue and character development moments and stuff, and it's just always such a pleasure. So I had a great time, and I'm looking forward to next time.
Absolutely. It had been a little while since we had a good old-fashioned knockdown, drag-out fight, and I really wanted for you guys to have the chance to get your swords wet.
Yeah, and it felt like the last few fights were always so fraught too, right? It was kind of nice to just cut loose and kill some dudes.
Like you do. Welcome to Tuesday. Yeah, absolutely, man. I can vouch for how awesome the Blackwood is. I not only played Blackwood, I also got to play Blades in the Dark with Eli. So definitely go check that stuff out. All right, next up we have Baron.
I think you mean Lord Tord, Baron of Elandshire.
Lord Tord.
We skipped the knight and went straight to Lord. I somehow think that given the conversation in the last session about Tord's choices coming back to bite everyone in the ass, may happen again. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm sitting in a comfy chair. This will not blow up in my face at all.
Nah.
It's gonna be all right.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? I'm Baron. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming. I had a fantastic time. This is the second game that I've had this week where I'm walking away with adrenaline. And oh man, can we play again this month instead of waiting till next month? Because I can't wait. This is going to be sitting. Oh dear. Thanks for having me. Thanks everyone for playing. That's truly a pleasure every time. And for those of you watching, please take the time to check out Myth and Gears, the Black Sails campaign that Jeremy and I are in, which is fantastic. Check out Josh's EP, which totally blew my fucking mind, which I'm going to check out. The Sunderhearth series put out by Jeremy and Steve, which I was extremely honored and privileged to be the inaugural member to join that project. And I only can see good things happening. And I can only echo Jeremy in saying that Eli puts out masterful work, and anything with the Mythic Gazetteer stamp certainly has my stamp of approval. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, Baron. Thank you for being on board. And when you said that you wanted to play an orc paladin in this setting, in this game, I was ecstatic. For one, this is just the kind of setting that demands that someone plays a paladin. So I was really happy to have someone take up the mantle, if you will. But as an orc, it just puts this really fun and unique spin on a classic character. And it's been a lot of fun to watch him develop with all of the pitfalls. I think that's a charming part of his character. And again, I'm sure from here on out, everything's smooth sailing. All right. Last but most certainly not least, Josh.
Hey guys, my name is Josh. Tonight I reprise my role as Eddard Bainton, the assistant to the Lord of Ilanshire, Lord Masaka Tord. Guys, it was a great pleasure of mine. It always is. It's always fun times playing with you guys, and Jeremy, of course, the masterful DM. I don't have too much to plug, and I don't want to echo anyone's sentiments about the nothing bad is going to happen, because I think shit is really about to hit the fan. I might be the only one, but I might be the minority here, but I think I'm going to hold on to that. Can't wait till next time, guys. Wonderful game.
Thank you very much, Josh. Like I said, I love the fact that I have the 5 of you that I get to play with every single month. And I'm going to say challenge instead of put through the meat grinder, because that's the way I view it. But no, you guys handle it all in stride. And again, these people that you're playing, I call them people because I don't think that they're just characters. They very much stand out in my mind as fully realized, very, very well developed people. And I love the fact that they are the shining light in this very, very messed up place. And that it's difficult, but they're slowly changing the tide of the way things are done. So that makes me very happy that the story is unfolding that way so far. So if you like what you saw, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. There's plenty of other games here. There's plenty of other episodes of this campaign that you can check out if you haven't done so already. There's probably going to be quite a few more in the future. So until then, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.